And we're back. Laughter Stays Live here on Strong Island Television. Let's bring Sideshow back, John Saletto. I'm not used to calling him Sideshow. Why don't you introduce your friend Gary Michael here?
All right. Well, you'll bring him in as the world's only biker hypnotist in the country, Gary Michaels.
What's doing, Gary? Thank you for taking the time to be on.
Well, thank you for having me on the program, man. I'm thoroughly enjoying watching you guys. And I will tell you this. You're talking about this pickleball game. I have yet to play the game, but I am a master at pickleback shots. I'm a master at that. I can win that.
You know what? If Richie would drink more pickle shots, whatever you call them, maybe he'd be able to stay on the court. There is Tara. There she is. Hello, sweetie. How are you?
I miss you.
Thank you. I miss you too. We're going to be
hold on. I can't let Sideshow hold me up like this. Come here, Mama. I want to show you the best part of me, the best part of my show, my best friend, the love of my life, the lovely Miss April Wine.
Oh, there's enough.
Can't wait to hang out.
I can't wait to meet you, Mama.
We're going to have such a great time.
I know we are. I cannot wait.
Oh, my God.
Love y'all.
Did you just hear the accent? Did you all just hear the accents? We got the New York accent from Tigger, and then we got the Georgia accent from Miss April. I'm going to be so confused by the time this cruise is over. It's going to be crazy.
All you have to remember, Gary, is yes, dear.
Yes,
dear. Oh, that's my go-to phrase. I mean, when Mama looks at me and she says, you need to do this. I said, yes, dear. Yes, dear. However, did you all ever notice that most guys have arguments with their girls about, honey, will you stop treating me like my mother? And then 15 minutes later, honey, where's my keys? Where's my belt? I mean, think about that.
Right.
Absolutely.
We need that somehow.
I said, just the other night, I said to my wife was not feeling good for whatever reason, and I played too much pickleball, and I'm sitting there and in my head going, should I ask you to get me an ibuprofen because I can't get off the couch? And I said, no, that's not going to go well. That's not going to go well to ask you to get up.
You got to pick your battles. You got to pick your battles.
You know, my mother always told me when I was growing up, she said that, I hope you find a woman that's just like me. I said, Mom, you're 450 pounds. I don't think I could go that route. I'm just sorry. My mother was the greatest woman that ever rolled on this planet because she was in a wheelchair. And I will tell you, if she were to jump in the air right now, she'd get stuck.
Yes, she would.
So you do magic also. What kind of magic do you do?
You know, that's funny that I heard you all talking about asking for tips at your shows.
Yes.
I'm not normally a tip jug kind of a program. However, since the pandemic and we were out of work for so long, I do put a tip jug out there. And what I tell people is that I got a repo letter on April's boobs. So I need to try to raise as much money as I can to help me save the tatas. And then you were talking about $100 bill. Well, I so happen to have this is funny in itself, a comedian with $100 bill. But what I like to do with some of my money is literally see if I can make it do.
Wow.
Some weird stuff, just kind of like that. So to answer your question, I love close-up magic. Absolutely love close-up magic. And what I like to do, and I'm different from any other type of entertainers, is April and I literally go out into the clubs, wherever it is, the theaters, the bars, the comedy clubs, whatever. And we will talk to every single person there. We will shake their hands. I will do some close-up magic for them and sort of blow their mind a little bit. And for me, what that does is it entices an excitement for them to wait. They just can't wait to see what we're going to do on stage next.
Right.
Yeah.
And when we're on stage, I do some comedy and then I'll do some stage magic. I just learned a new trick the other day that I performed last Saturday for the first time. I think I'm going to keep it. It's pretty daggone cool. And Sideshow, I think you saw it.
You want to
Well, I produce a shot out of a empty paper bag. It's completely empty. You can see it. I produce a shot out of it, and I performed it for the first time last Saturday. It went over very well, so I'm probably going to end up keeping that. But as a hypnotist, what you're doing is you have to build a rapport with your audience.
Yes.
If you build that rapport, you get them comfortable, you get them laughing.
Right.
Because laughter, to me, is the best medicine in the whole world, man. I'm just telling you, it is the best. So you get them laughing, you get them comfortable and sort of through your command, and then you go into the hypnosis part of it. It makes things so much easier. And then when you hypnotize people, you can make them do some really bizarre phenomena.
Why magic? What made you get into magic? Did you do magic first, or were you a hypnotist first?
No, it's pretty funny. I got into magic because my sister said she was making money doing tricks, so I thought I'd give it a shot.
Good.
You know, you intrigued. I want to say one thing. You intrigued me.
Yes.
About going into bars, walking around, building rapport. I was with John once.
See?
And the girls, cute little girls, remember they called the manager?
Yeah.
To have you removed. Different with comedy than magic, I think.
But
I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. Sideshow can tell you from our buddy Rizzo, who's there in New York, Johnny Rizzo. He does a program called Motorcycle Mayhem Radio. We met for the first time this past year in Daytona. I'd been on his program, I don't know, for a couple of years. And we met for the first time in Daytona. And he followed us around. We bar hopped. We rode our bikes different places. He cornered April at one of these places that we was at. And he simply said to her, "How in the world does he do that?" She said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Every place we've been to, whether it be a bar, a restaurant, a convenience store, it didn't matter. I'm doing magic for people. That's just my nature. That's just who I am. I want to amaze people and make them smile."
Sure.
And Rizzo was like, he just totally commands a crowd. I don't know how I do it. I don't even want to begin to know how I do it. All I can tell you is I'm just playing. I'm just like a 5-year-old kid out there playing.
That's great.
Trying to make people happy, make them laugh, because, laughter at the end of the day is by far the best medicine in the world.
You know what I find, Gary, and Richie can attest to this. I think at this point of our comedy career, we've been through a lot at our age. A lot of experiences, parenting, grandparenting, jobs, all different jobs, health issues, that the audiences really can relate to us. I'm not talking about kids. If I'm doing an audience with teenagers, a little different. I'd rather not do an audience like that, only because it's not my sweet spot. They really can relate to us. And before the show and after the show, I think I have more fun than on stage, just talking to people in the audience.
That is the best part. There was a time I was in the radio business for 35 years, and being on the radio, it's just you in a studio. There's no feedback. There's no energy. It's just you.
No
in a
audience.
studio.
Yeah.
No audience. Nobody work at. No nothing.
Yeah.
But being on radio, I had to learn how to entertain a crowd without actually seeing them.
Right.
And then through the years, what I realized is I was just a voice. That's it. Nobody knew my face. They didn't. This way before the internet and all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
Right.
So I wanted to expand on that. And then that's when I learned my first magic trick when I was 8 years old. And I just dabbled in magic for a little while. I owned a bar in Lexington, Kentucky. And the only reason me and Brad, my business partner, or my best friend, the only reason we bought the bar is so we always had a place to play. So during the band breaks, when we were done singing, taking breaks, I would go out into the crowd and immediately get a shot. That was number one thing. But then I would get into the middle of the audience with a microphone and sort of crack some jokes and do some magic. And I fed off of that. And the energy from that was like, okay, there's something going on here.
Yeah.
And then later, you asked me the question, was I a magician first or a hypnotist first? I was a magician first.
Right.
And then I got into hypnosis or magic. I was doing a lot more magic. I just dabbled in it. It wasn't really a profession.
Right.
But you asked me about the hypnosis. Well, I'll just tell you before you ask me why I'm a hypnotist, is like most people in the country, I suffer from depression. Um, Depression almost killed me. I mean, I was literally on the verge of suicide. It was a very bad time of my life. I don't ever want to relive it. Hopefully, pray to God that never happens. However, during that dark time, I, I was broke. I had no money. I couldn't afford to go see a doctor. I couldn't afford medication.
Right.
And I decided to go online and figure out a way to deal with depression without having to take medication. Well, hypnosis came up and I sort of got intrigued. And the next thing you know, I'm studying, I'm reading everything I can find on hypnosis. I'm watching videos from the 80s, these old lectures. I mean, there's some of these lectures were like 2.5 hours long and they were so boring.
Yeah.
Right.
I almost want to commit suicide watching the freaking videos. But I learned from that. And then all of a sudden, there was a comedy hypnotist that popped up. And I was watching his routine, and he's a Vegas headliner. His name's Mark Savard. There's several in Vegas, but Mark Savard really grabbed my attention. And I started watching him. And then I learned from another gentleman whose name is Anthony Gailey. He is a corporate hypnotist. That's all he does is corporate stuff.
Wow.
So I watched him. I watched Mark. I started researching. And the next thing you know, I said to myself, that's what I want to do. Now, Sideshow was talking about the High Seas Rally. I was on this cruise back in 2019. I've never told anyone this, so this is the debut. And
Whoa.
I hope it doesn't get me in trouble.
Exclusive.
Yeah. The guy who was running the cruise back in 2019, his name was Dean. Well, I went online. It popped up on Facebook. So I went to the website, and I noticed that Daryl Worley was on the cruise in 2019. Well, Daryl and I have been good friends for many years. So I called the cruise, and luckily enough, Dean answered the phone. I told him what I did. I said, I'm a hypnotist. He goes, well, I've been looking for a hypnotist. I said, well, look no further.
There you go.
He said to me, he said, can you send me some videos? Guys, listen, the only videos I had at the time, I had maybe only hypnotized 6 or 8 people, period.
Wow.
And this was at a bar. It was just bar stuff. I'm probably half drunk, hypnotizing, and I'm just freaking out that I was able to even hypnotize someone in the condition that I was in. So I sent him the videos, and then it wasn't 5 minutes later, he calls me back. He says, hey, Gary, you ever done this kind of stuff before? Yeah, man, I'm good, Ed. I'm great. I've done this. I've been doing this for a long time. Yes, sir. I lied my ass off for him to finally agree to get me on this cruise. And when I got on the cruise, to make matters worse, Daryl introduced me on my very first show. Dude, I was sweating bullets. My lips were all tore up. I'm sweating. I'm like, oh my God, what have I got myself into? I'm going to fail. I'm going to fail miserably in front of 2,000 people. Well, I didn't. Thank God. And this year, the guy who's running the cruise now, his name is Chris. He called me up and he says, Gary, there's been, 60-80% of the people that was on this cruise in 2019 that want you to come back. And we
nice.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah. So that being said, the depression, the studying, and I am self-taught. I'm a self-taught hypnotist, a self-taught magician. I'm really not a self-taught comedian. You can't really teach anyone to be funny. You just can't.
Yeah.
But I do my best. And my show from 2019 until now has evolved so much.
Yeah, sure.
And there's so much new things that I cannot wait to do on the cruise. Actually, before the cruise, I cannot wait to be in Dallas on Labor Day weekend because of what Sideshow and 12 is putting together.
When is the cruise, Gary? When is the cruise?
The cruise is in October the 28th to November 4th. We leave out of Tampa. When we leave out of Tampa, we're going straight to Key West, and we're going to shut her down. We're shutting Key West down.
Gary, we have about a minute left. Can you tell people if they want to go on this cruise and find you, how do they do that?
Very simply, go to highseasrally.com for the cruise. You can go to GaryMichaels.net. That's my website, and it'll take you to the Facebook, to the YouTube, everything you need to know is right there. Everything. GaryMichaels.net. Go to highseasrally.com. If you decide to go on a cruise, use either promo code 99% Radio Network or Gary Michaels. All they're doing is making sure we're doing our job.
Beautiful.
You get a free glass of water with my promo code. No ice.
No ice.
Well, you can do that. I'm getting a caramel macchiato with the 2 shots of Hennessy every freaking morning. I'm just telling you.
Sideshow John, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for introducing us to Gary.
Fun.
You know, Gary, we'll have you back on before the cruise.
Hey, listen, before you go, I know you're going to be in Ohio. I'm going to be in Ohio this weekend, Minerva, Ohio, at the Roxy Theater. If by chance you guys can get away to come see the show, it's on me.
Ohio
Thanks, Gary.
friends, go see him.
All right,
Great.
guys, that's Gary and Sideshow. We'll see
job.
you guys soon.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Right on, guys. Right on.
We're going to go to break, and we'll be back with Joe, our comic. Laughter Stays Live.